Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today on Masechtas Menachos Daf Yud Tes. We're going to begin on the top of Yud Tes Mud Aleph, first line. So our Mishnah told us on yesterday's daf in Yud Ches, that when it comes to the mincha, one of the requirements is to put oil into the flour offering. Now it says if you didn't do it at all, it's kosher. And we already saw in Rashi that it's not referring to not doing it at all, because certainly you have to do, but there's a few times that the oil was put in. It's referring to specifically the last time that the oil was put in. So in that situation, the question is, does it mean you didn't put it at all? So on this, the Gemara said it's referring to lo yitzak kohen elazar, non-kohen did it, which is mashmar. Mishnah holds that it's allowed. Now, Rav Shimon disagreed. Rav Shimon actually said that when it comes to this is designated for the Bnei Aharon. And the reason, as we see on the top line, is because Mikra Nidrush L'fanav Acharav. He makes a drasha before and afterwards, which also includes the pouring of the oil. So, with that said, that's before. And L'charav, Rashi says, V'kamatz misham betz ba'oi, that you do the kamitza, fine. The Sava Rav Shimon Mikra Nidrush L'fanav Acharav, is that really true that he holds like this? V'sanya. The pasuk says, "V'lakach kohen medam achatas," that the kohen will take from the dam the chatas betz ba'oi with his finger, v'nasan al karnos mizbeach, and he puts it onto the corner of the mizbeach. I'm not sure what this Rashi is coming to tell us, right? It basically just quotes the pasuk. So what do we learn out from here? So be'etz ba'oi, it says with his finger, v'lakach, and he took. So v'lamid shlo tehi kabbalah ela biyamin. So this is one of the things that we learned. Do you need the word kahuna and etzba? We had this previously, and over here we're learning that the fact that it says etzba and lakach, it has to be with your right hand. Says Rashi, "Chol makom shenemer etzba ukahuna enu el yamin." So certainly when it has both words, when it has koyin and it has etzba, that definitely means it has to be done specifically with the right, which is makeh the left, and the Gemara elsewhere discussed this. It's fine. So be'etzba'oi v'lakach malamish shlo tehi kabbalah el biyamin. Be'etzba'oi v'nasan. So what is that? Malamish shlo tehi nesina el biyamin. That when it comes to the throwing of the blood, the placing of the blood on the corners of the mizbech has to be also done with the right hand. I understand, it doesn't say the word yad. So says Rashi, it doesn't say the word yad. So interestingly enough, Rav Shimon is of the opinion. This is of the opinion that even if it's with the left hand, it's kosher. Now, what's the basis of this machlok? Because Rav Shimon savar lacharav nidrush l'fanav nidrush. So the question is, apparently we see that Rav Shimon does not darshan l'fanav acharav, right? Because otherwise, why would he say that kibbutz b'smol is kosher? Ella haytayim Rav Shimon. The reason why Rav Shimon said what he said before is when it says v'avia vav moisev al inyan rishon, the savar Rav Shimon vav moisev al inyan rishon. So again, when he has this vav, so that's coming to include everything that took place before, and that's the reason why he says that. Okay, so v'savar Rav Shimon vav moisev al inyan rishon. Is that true? Elmiyata dechsev v'shachates ben habakar. When it says you shech the carbon, and then it says, doesn't say who, it's mashma maybe even a non-kohen, because then all of a sudden it says that the Bnei Aaron have to be back with the dam, brings it close, zarko es dam, and then they do the zrika. So this is something which we learned out, which is brought down to the Perek Masechtas Brachos, with the whole issue that Shmuel was more halacha b'fnei Rabbi. So we see that Mikabal ve'elach misas kahuna melamed al shchitza sheksher bazar. So Il Rav Shimon, if it's actually Rav Shimon, Vav Moisav in the Rishon Shchita Hanami Bazar Tehib Psula. If there's actually this Vav, should be it says Vishachat. The fact that it says this Vav, so that should be Moisif, and therefore it should also be Pasul the Shchita. So Shani Hasan Nemer Krav Samach V'Shachat. Masmicha Bazarim Av Shchita Bazarim. We know that when it comes to smicha, which is takev or smicha shchita, so that could be done by a non-kohen, so to the shchita. See, if that's true, then mas smicha b'bailim, av shchita b'bailim. So then maybe just like the smicha is done by the baal, so then the shchita should only be done by the baal. So hahu lo matzasar. You can't say that because kavachaymer. Why? Uma zrika, when it comes to the zrika sadam, to ikar kapara, which is the main part. The little boy Baalim, you don't need a Baal to do that. In fact, the Kohen has to do it, not the owner. There could be the Baal's a Kohen, but we don't need the Baal to do it. So Shechita, they'll have Iker Kaparo Lo Kol Shekain, certainly doesn't need to do it. V'chitema ain't done an Efsher Mishi Efsher. He can't compare it, says Rashi says, because the Chsiv, as Rashi says, because Zrika Babal and the Chsiv is Zarka B'nei Aaron. It's not a Kavachaymer, so maybe the Shechita must be with the Baal, right? Because again, you can't. Again, Babalim. Let's assume we're talking about as a non-Kayan. So therefore, the question is, of course, he can't do it. So go Rachmana B'Yom Kippur. What is it regarding the pasuk regarding Yom Kippur? It says V'shachan is par achatos. You shech the par asher loy, which belongs to him. Echlal to shchita ba'alma will be in Baalim. It's mashma that you don't need the Baal. It's only in this situation it's he shechs that which is his. There's mashma normally not. So Marav kol makam shnemer Torah b'chuka enu el akev. So anytime you have the words Torah, you have chukah, so that is telling you that it is ma'akev. It must be exactly as it says. So maybe you need both words. Kedeksiv zois chukah Torah simin tzas yikmal. V'hari nazir, when it comes to the dinim of a nazir, it says zois Torahs a nazir asher yidor deluk siva be el Torah. It doesn't say the word chukah, so maybe it's not ma'akev. Of Yom Rav to Nufa Banazir Ma'akva, but it says it is Ma'akiv. So Shani Hasam Kivandiksiv Kain Ye'aseh, so you shall do. It's Kamandiksiva Bahu Chuka Dami. It's like the word Chuk. So Hari Taida, the Luksiva Be El Taira, it only says Taira, Vitzanan. And we learned regarding the carbon Taida, Arba Shiba Taida, when it comes to the 4 different species of loaves that are accompanying the carbon taida, akvin zed no shani taida iskishul nazir, because we learn already by nazir it's ki'u like it says chukah, so to here dechsiv al zevach taida shlamav v'yomer mar shlamav v'rabos shalmei nazir. Okay, fine. So we're still not sure. Do you need both of those words? V'hari mitzayra dluksiv be'el taira v'tanan arba minim sheba mitzayra. When it comes to the, so first of all, Rashi says when it comes to the chalos, it's chametz, chalos, rekike, revucha. When they're talking about the 4 of the Mitzayra, it means that it has to be 8 erez, ushnei talas, the ezov, it's sipirim, the birds, the hyssop, the wood, scarlet. Okay, so all of them are ma'akiv zed zed. So shani hasam kivadik siv zois tiet Torah samatzayra. Since it says the word Torah, kamandik siv, it says zois. So we say it's kamandik siv bechukadami. For Yomi Kippurim to look siv be el chuka. Here's the opposite. It only says the word chuk. The dan shnei seir Yomi Kippurim. When it comes to the 2 goats, the 2 he goats, echad Hashem echad lazazel ma'akvan zed zed. Ella. So what is it? Ella o Torah o chukah must be that if you just don't have either of those 2 words, then it'll be ma'akev. 1 second. When it comes to other psukim and other dinim, it does say the word Torah, but it's not ma'akev. So here's an interesting answer. Here's the maskana. Torah boy chukah, chukah lo boy Torah. Right. So if it has the word Torah, you still need the word chukah. If it has the word chukah, it doesn't need Torah. So chukah alone will be ma'akev, and just Torah itself will not help. So this is, I believe, question 7. Kol makam shenemer Torah b'chukah enu el akev. Him tarti boy li kuva. So we say like this: Torah does not need chukah. Torah does need chukah. Chukah does not need Torah. Okay. That's the maskana. I have a Torah b'chukah. Ka'amar, but it says both. So Hakakamar, Afal Gav Ksiv Taira, Iksiva Chuka in Vilolo. Okay, it's fine. It says the word Taira, but it needs to say Chuka. Bahari Mincha, Ksiv Bachuka. It does say Mincha. By Mincha it says Chuka, which is probably means that everything's Ma'akev. V'yomar Kol Makam Shehichser Hakasa B'Taras Mincha. Anything that's repeated in El Akev, those things are Ma'akev, which is Mashma Yakser in Lo Yakser Lo. So, but why? It should all be Ma'akev. Shanehasam Dechik Ksiva Chuka Achila Ksiva. Then actually, when it says the word Chuka, it's only going on the eating, not the avoda itself. Says Rashi, Hilchach Lav Le'ikuva Asa. All the other things are not Le'ikuv. The word Chuka is specifically on the eating. So it says Ve'achlu b'makam kadosh ki kadosh kadoshim hu loy mi'ishi Hashem chak olam. So there it does say the word chuka. It says chak olam, right? So the chiksiva chuka achila ksiva. So it's talking about the eating, which maybe it means it's only ma'akev the eating. But tanan shnei sedachim, when it comes to the with the Lechem Mishnah, the two bezichin, makman zedzeh. So how do we understand that? Shnei sidachim akman zedzeh, shnei bezichin makman zedzeh. So hasidachim vazikim makman zedzeh. So we say they're all ma'akev. So how do we understand this? Ella kol heichad ksiva achila akula milsa ksiva. So we see taka that when it comes to lechem upon him, the din is it's on everything. It's on the whole. It's on the whole thing. So you should therefore say the same thing when it comes to the mincha. It's not just on the chil; it should be on the whole thing. So shani hasam di omer kra migirsha umishamna. It's fine flour. In other words, in its entirety. Over there, it uses these words, which therefore makes it sound much more specific when it comes to the lechem upon him. It says migirsha umishamna. As we continue to Yud Testament Beis, so we see, and some people skip this may be in parentheses, Girish v'shem ma'akvin v'ein davar achar ma'akev. Okay. Gufa. Omarav kol makam shehichzer l'cha hakasa b'Torah. Anytime the Torah repeats it by mincha eno ela akev. Shmuel omer geres v'shemen ma'akvin. That which is repeated regarding these things, that is what is ma'akev. Nothing else is ma'akev when it comes to the mincha. Shmuel, now according to Shmuel, who says that only these two things are ma'akev, afagav the tane beikra ma'akev, even though all these other things are repeated, it's still not ma'akev. Ella kol heichad the tane beikra vadim akva. The truth is, anytime it's repeated, it definitely is ma'akev. Hacha b'moli kumtsoi. When it says that you fill up your hand with its kaimitz, bikumtso kamifagi. This is the machlok, the sanya. Moli kumtsoi means b'kaimtsoi, that is his fistful. Shoyasa mida l'kaimitz. It means that you have to use your fistful, you can't use a kli. Rav Savar hanami tanim beikra, dechsev vayikras mincha, v'moli kapo mimena, that you fill up his palm. So that is mimena. I think the word is Ishmael. Dairais mishal yalfinan. So, since this one time it was a one time in history, this event, so it isn't really repeated in the pasuk, so it's not ma'akev because it's only this one time. V'lo yolef Shmuel dairais mishah. Well, maybe I'm reading the word probably incorrectly. Let's see if Rashi helps me out. Unfortunately, my Gemara is missing some words. Daris misha loyalfin and tan hachikamer chazar de garsh shemen hu de asoy leikuva v'chein shechzur b'taras mincha daris abel v'yimoli kapo lo chazarahi. Okay. It probably says V'shmuel, okay, because this is the shita of, okay, this is Shmuel, V'shmuel, okay, V'shmuel daris mishal yalfinan, okay, V'yav Shmuel daris mishal. Is it true that it says it once and therefore it doesn't learn anywhere else? Is that true? V'atanan. In other words, the fact that it was, since it's one time in history event, so it isn't really repeated in the pasuk, so therefore it's not ma'akev. So v'tanan kli halach mekadesh halach. We had this before. A kli which is used for liquid can only mekadesh liquids. Midas yavesh mekadesh yavesh, not the other way around. Vein kli halach mekadesh yavesh v'lo midas yavesh mekadesh halach. So for a kli shores to be makdish, it has to be that if a liquid kli, it's for liquids and not vice versa. And we had this before as well. The only time we say this is regarding to the measuring of a kli. Of a mizrakais, when it comes to like regular vessels, mikanchin, then you could be all mixed together, liquid to solids. T'chsev shneihim malayim silas. So this is by the Nesiim, and we have this drasha that says shnei malayim silas, that it comes to tell us this interesting din, that when it comes to mizrakais, the din is that lach the yavesh lach will work. The problem is, this is by the Nesiim. Actually, let's look at Rashi. Lo shana de'en mekadesh yavesh el b'mida salach again hin lug the whole mida l'chazile el milse l'midos v'hin v'lug midas yavesh leika. When it comes to mizrakais, which is like in that case it would work. The klidam alma gomer daris mishah, but this is actually from the Siyam. This is a one-time thing, this pasuk. So how can we learn a drasha from it to teach us this application for ladaris? Shani hasam datani bikra trei asar zimnin. So it's true. It does say it by the Nesiim, but it keeps repeating it over and over, right? As we know, in the end of the Parshas Naso, it's repeated 12 times, and therefore it's come to tell you that even though it's true, it's normally you would not make this drasha because it's only Mishah. The fact it's said so many times, then itself is telling it could apply Ladaris. Armule Rav Kahana Ravasi Rav Vahari Hagasha. When it comes to bringing it close to the southwestern corner, the Tanam Bakrav Ma'akva. The pasuk does repeat it there, and yet it's not ma'akev. So man tanabe. So where is it repeated? D'chsiv zayis taras hamincha hikriv oisa b'nei Aaron lifnei Hashem. So hu l'koivel lo makayim hu da'asa. All it's doing over there is trying to tell you the place in where it should be done. The sign lifnei Hashem. The fact that it says lifnei Hashem. So what does the words lifnei Hashem mean? Again, you can see in this picture on the left side we have the Kodesh HaKadoshim, which is going toward the west. And the question is, why is it the southwest? Yachol b'marav. Because it says lifnei Hashem, you would think it should be in the west. Talmud number el pnei hamizbeach should be toward the face of the mizbeach. In other words, the face of the mizbeach is in the east. In other words, you're facing the mizbeach and looking westward. So el pnei hamizbeach. If that's the truth, Yachol b'darim. So then maybe it should be in the south, where you enter into the Mizbeach, right, by the Kevesh, which is on the western side. Talmud lifnei Hashem. Haketzad Megisha. When you come close, it should be B'keren D'roimis Maravis. Should be by the southwest. Why? Again, because it says lifnei Hashem, but it also says El Pnei Mizbeach, which is mashma. Therefore, Talmud learner El Pnei Mizbeach. V'el Pnei Mizbeach Yachol b'darim. Where did I see? Where did I read the word saf? I don't know. Hahu kabel makom. So again, the sound lifnei Hashem Yachol b'marav, because that's that. Talmud learner El Pnei Mizbeach. El Pnei Mizbeach Yachol b'darim. You would think it should be in the south, which you enter to the face of the Mizbeach. That's why I said the north. Talmud learner lifnei Hashem. Haketzad Megisha b'keren D'roimis Maravis. So it's telling you that's supposed to be on the southwest. Keneged Chudashel Karen, by the opposite of the corner. B'dayim, that's good enough. Rabbi Lezer Omer Yochli Yigishen Lema Rava. You can actually bring it close to the west Shel Karen, or L'Droima Shel Karen. So it could either be the west or the south. Do west, do south. Doesn't have to be southwestern corner. That's fine. So Marta Kol Makam Shiata Moitza Shtei Mikrois. Whenever you have two psukim, Echad Mekayim Atzma, Echad Mechaveroi. One, you could mekayim one or the other. Or you could cancel out the other one. In other words, it's better that you should. It's pasuk saying you could do the south or you could do the west. but this is actually canceling them out because you're saying they're both. Okay. Kishiata oim lifnei Hashem b'marev, that which is again lifnei Hashem is to the west because that's how you get to the Kodesh Kodashim. So batalta al pnei mizbech, that goes against pnei mizbech, which is the south, which is b'darim. Kishiata oimer al pnei mizbech b'darim kiyamta lifnei Hashem vehecha kamait again kishiata oimer al pnei mizbech b'darim kiyamta lifnei Hashem vehecha kiyamta. So how are you mekayim it? So basically, he holds you can do either one. So Rav Ashi Kasavar Haitana Kuli Mizbech but Safan Koi. Maybe the entire Mizbech was actually in the north, and therefore not the way it's designed in this picture, but the Mizbech actually was all the way in the north, says Rashi. Upesach Heichel be'emsa Azara. So the opening of the Heichel was in the middle of the Azara. V'kivan dechol Mizbech b'chatzi Azara oimed. But if you're in the north, the southern part of the wall of the Mizbech, there's the back of it, if you will. In other words, it's possible if you move the entire Mizbech all the way flush to the north, so then it really is the south. The south is the same thing as Lifnei Hashem because it's also going to be west. Okay, we're going to stop there. Maybe we'll see a couple more questions. Question 8. Ma nilmod mishnei kra, l'shani kra b'dibura, t'bachad kra ksiv, moloi kumtsoi. The other one says bikumtsoi. So what do we learn out from here? So we learn that when it comes to kamitza, it has to be done with your hand, and you cannot use a kli. And it also teaches you lamdei komtsoi uplukta Rabbi Shmuel ima akev. Okay, so basically again that it has to be with your hand. It cannot be done with a kli. Okay. Question TA 28. Ezut sad shel mizbech nikra gam lifnei Hashem and gam el hamizbech umadua. Okay, so sad daroim. Lifnei HaMizbech, Shakevesh Sham, the ramp is there. Lifnei Hashem, Dekul Mizbech, but Safan Koi Nims the Dorim Mul Pesach Heichel. So basically, unlike the picture, we actually will move the Mizbech more to the north, and therefore the south is actually going to be Lifnei Hashem, as we see in this Rashi. So that's TA 28, which is your Testament Maze, and then TB1. Omarav kol makam shehichzolcha kasiv enu el akiv. It's repeated. Shmuel Eimer geres v'shemen ma'akvin ve'en devarach ma'akiv. Le'inyan man nechlaku. What do they argue? Madul Shmuel ein ma'akiv hari shinabo hakasiv la'akiv. So this is I wrote Torah sarach chuka ve'en chuka sarach Torah. Totally incorrect answer, unfortunately. The answer is basically, as we see over here, so what do we see? He holds this idea of dairos mishah, right? Whether or not this you can learn dairos mishah is the question. Can you learn out something that's mentioned as an ikuv, then to all future generations? So according to the shita of Shmuel, right? Shmuel holds that dairos mishah. Let's get the words right. Lo yelfinan. Adkan.